Good morning. Uh, we wanted to shoot a short video here this morning for our patron members. And the first thing I'd like to say is we have a lot of new patrons on this page. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining our page and our community here. We've had some contact with some of those. And there's something I wanted to come to y'all and talk to you about. We keep doing things due to our experiences in the horse business. And as you all know, I'm a solid snaffle bit guy. We're going to be leaving a week from tomorrow and going to Little Lusk Horse Camp for 10 days. You will see Joy and I out on the trails. We'll be riding in a snaffle bit. Now, what I'm finding that people are having a problem with the snaffle bit is they think they have no control. Now, with that said, if you will go through the process, you will have more control with the snaffle bit, and I proved it last week. We rode a couple of horses for a lady. Her and her friend come and rode them. And as y'all know, I rode them. I rode them in a snaffle bit. I got them soft. I got them supple. I got them light to the touch and all this and that. And when we went to ride, they put their gear on. What was their gear? It was a shank bit about that long. The one horse I have rode up there many times, actually took my chainsaw and cut limbs and stuff, cleaning out the trails, and he'd just drop his head and walk. But in the shank bit, his neck was up, his face was overly vertical, and he was pushing on her hands continuously. He was running right up my horse's butt the entire ride. So we got close to getting back, and I said, all right, hang on. We're so close to getting back. I'm going to take the bridle off my mare, and I'm going to put it on yours, my snaffle bit. So when I did, she said, are you going to use my bridle? I said, no, I'm not using your bridle. I'm hanging your bridle on my saddle horn, and I have my halter underneath. As y'all know, we have halters underneath, rope halters. I just threw the rope over and tied it off and made me a rein, and I crawled back on my horse. When I took the shank bit off of the mare, what happened? Or off that gelding. He dropped his head. He started relaxing. Guys, she had, for the last 2 miles, she had the best ride of an 8-mile ride when we took that damn shank bit off that horse. What I'm finding out, the horse don't have the problem with the snaffle bit. It's the people that have the problem with the snaffle bit. Because they don't have no faith in what they're doing and what we've done here. We just had a guy call from Kentucky, talk to Joy, and he was having a lot of trouble. He took off the shank bit, put on a snaffle bit. What did he say, Joy? What did he say?
He said the horse immediately calmed and relaxed in the snaffle bit. I want to make a comment.
Sure.
A lot of people think that because a bit is broken, that it's a snaffle bit. But if it has a shank, if it does not have a round circle that your bridle and your reins hook onto, even if it's broken, it's not a snaffle if it has a shank. If your rein attaches to
the end of a shank, it will have a curb underneath it. When you pull on that, it is putting pressure underneath the jaw. It is a leverage bit. I don't care if it's broken in the middle or not. I don't care if it's broken in the middle or not. as you all know, Sissy come to work here. She has been really good for me explaining this. Okay? Just like yesterday, we were doing a first ride on a horse. And I said, okay, it's time to start flexing. Now, I'm not saying nothing bad about Sissy because she's learning. And this was the best learning thing that ever happened to her. She grabbed a hold of that rope and pulled that horse's head around. Hard. And what did the horse do? It immediately went to spinning. And I'm sitting back in the chair saying, keep up with her. Hold it. Just keep up, keep up, keep up. And it was just a crap show. And she knew it. And I got up out of the chair and I said, here, let me show you something. I let some rope out and I pulled it up just till I had a little bit of pressure. And the horse's head's about like this. That's all we've got. And just held that until it went like that. Released. Next time we pulled it, I pulled it, it went about here and stopped. And I just held it and it come on. It is the least amount of pressure that you can put on these horses, yet using as much as necessary to get the job done. You always start out light. Start out just come here. You're wanting to say something.
The give only works if the feet are still.
That's right. Which, yeah, they know that. They'll only do it whenever the feet are still. But the thing about it is, on this snaffle bit deal, me, Joy, Sissy, you bring your horse here and you want us to train it, that's fine. We'll do it. We have our training methods. We have our process that we go through. If you take your horse home, as far as I'm concerned, and you put it back in a leverage bit, in a shank bit, and you go to having problems, you really don't need to call us because the horse was right when it left. I don't want to say that out loud, but I just did because it's the truth. It was proof. It was proof of it last Friday in the woods on those horses. Joy even took her bridle off and rode in a halter. And do you know what she was riding? A green 2-year-old. She was riding a green 2-year-old and took the bridle off of it and used her halter to come back. Stop telling me this don't work. Stop telling me that it's not going to get along. It does. The problem
Really,
is,
what you're saying is stop telling me that you are afraid it won't work.
exactly. Stop building this stuff in your head. Do your job. Because here's the deal. We've had a lot of horses in here, and a lot of times whenever I'm filming, who's riding those horses? It's not me, and it's not Joy. It's been Sissy. We've been putting a lot on her so she can learn, and she's doing a great job. And just like I told the ladies the other day, I don't need to ride your horses constantly. I need Joy to ride them. I need Sissy to ride them. Because I can get on a horse and I can ride it and maybe have a little bit of trouble for 5 or 10 minutes and then it's over. They're down here. I need other people that does not have my skill set and haven't done this for 40 years to get on those horses and get along with them. Does that all make sense? We're preparing the horses for you is what we're doing. But the problem that I'm finding, and this isn't a butt-eating video, I mean, it's just things that I see, and we really wanted to address it with our patrons. The whole deal is on an older horse. Let's go with this. One of those horses was a 6-year-old. Well, here's your deal. On the 6-year-old horse, how was it started? This is your deal. How was that horse started whenever she was a 2-year-old? I can tell you how she was started because I know where she was started at. She was started in a shank bit the first day. She was ridden out of the barn about as hard as she could go, made a loop, and was ridden back about as hard as she could go, and put up. Because they have so many of them, they have to get them done. She was never started correctly. When she come in here, man, we sat around here for 2 weeks doing groundwork, getting those horses soft. Getting the horses soft, supple, off the bit, off the bit, off the bit. That was the conversation we had with the gentleman from Kentucky. We have taken so many show horses, and y'all know how they are. They're setting up here and they get a hold of them and they want them on that bit and they want them pivoting with that head and they're getting it. Trail riders don't want that. They would like to be able to have faith and drop their hand and just ride their horse and enjoy the day. We have taken those show horses. Julie offered to be watching this right now. We've taken a lot of her horses that they've showed and done very well with them. And I basically tore those horses apart and brought them back and converted them into trail horses. This is why I'm so adamant about there's a difference in a trail horse and there's a difference in a show horse. If you want a show horse, great. If you want a show horse, that's great. I don't discourage anybody from showing. Don't bring it here because we're not show horse people. We're trail riding people. We are getting trail horses ready to go. So anyway, that's just some of the things I wanted to talk to y'all about. And for those of you that have horses that we've trained, you're riding them in some sort of leverage bit. And a leverage bit is a bit that has a shank and a curb. And you're having trouble. And what happened whenever that curb bit was on that horse Friday and she went to do a one-rein stop, what did it do?
It's going to pop up.
I turned around and that thing was up. Because it's too much pressure to shut them down. It's too much pressure on that horse's mouth and chin to get that head pulled around in case of a 911 emergency. Now, look, these horses belong to you all. You are free to do with them anything you want to. Here's the deal. We ride your horse for you. You come here to pick it up. We take you out on a trail ride. We tell you how to ride it. We tell you all this stuff. We spend the first day here in the barn. The second day we take off and go to the woods. You have ridden the horse. You know how it goes. It's safe. It's secure. You're not pulling and all this crap. And then you go home and you put on a leverage bit on them. And you go to having trouble. Get the leverage bit out of them. Now, if you're comfortable and you feel that you need that in order for you to be safe, use it. But when you go to having trouble, that's on you.
Yeah, and you can't use a one-rein stop with
No.
a leverage bit. So you have to throw that piece.
She tried it.
Yeah, you have
and the horse reared up.
You have to do away with that as a
way to keep
safety
you
measure.
safe.
Yeah.
Our whole deal is down here to the basics, keeping you safe. And just like, here's another thing that I'm seeing. I'll use the Gypsy Vanner horse. Belongs to Janet French. She'll be watching this video. She's a nice little mare. Nice little mare. She's a little bit high energy. And the other day I got her out working her and I thought, all right, I'm just going to put you in a round pen. I put her in a round pen and asked her to go. People, it looked like Secretariat running around out there. She ran and she ran and she ran and she ran and she kept running. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there. And I'm thinking, you know what? I haven't asked you to do this. There's no reason for you to do this. So I let her do it. And just let her run herself out. Then what happened? She wanted to start stopping. She'd had enough and she wanted to start stopping. Do you know what I did? Made her ass keep on going. She needs to think about stuff. We will have you, and it's the same thing on that as the one-rein stops. I will say, and you all have heard me say it, you need to go do one-rein stops until you want to puke. You get off your horse and you puke. You get on there and you do them some more. Is that an exaggeration? Not really. That's what I'd like for y'all to shoot for. Because if I'm lucky, you're going to do about 10. We know what to do. We don't do enough of it. Does that make sense? We sit there and the horse starts responding. The horse starts doing things that we're wanting to do. And what do? We quit. We quit. Look, you've got to drill this in and get control of your damn horse. You've got to get control of your horse, and you've got to let him know that you do have control. And here's another thing.
And you need to do one-rein stops out on the trail as
Yes.
you're riding along. Do one.
You can do them in this barn all you want to.
Do them every
How many
now and then.
times have y'all heard me say this is the most wonderful thing in the world? It is also the worst thing in the world to have. You've got to get out of here. You've got to get to the woods. That's why we haven't been filming a lot. My God, we've been riding horses in the woods, trying to get things settled in. Now, you got me off topic. I was really rolling there for a second.
Well, what you were saying is that you got to keep doing one-rein stops, and I just wanted to make sure they understood that it's not just in the barn or just in the round pen. This is something that you do the whole time you're out riding.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you got to do is go ride by yourself, or like me and Joy and Sissy. Look, the three of us out riding, one of us go to having problems with the horse. That ain't no big deal. The other two just gets out of the way and let them have at it. When you drop those reins and you ask your horse to go, the split second that he takes off, you shut him down.
If he takes off too fast.
If he takes off too fast. And you pull his head around, flex him a couple of times. Now, drop your hands, turn loose of his mouth, stop sitting here trying to protect him, and ask him to walk. And the second he drops that gear and starts to go, you shut him down.
Right. You have to allow him to
the
make
driveway is 40 yards from where I'm sitting right now. You might need to do 21 rein stops before you get there. But you've got to get it through his head. You've got to stay here between my hands and my legs and go the speed I'm asking you to. And stop pushing on me. That's the whole deal. You'll sit there, and I did it in Oklahoma when we went out there on that yellow horse.
The words pushing on me means that the horse is trying to go faster than you are, and you're having to...
Your first instinct is to pull back.
Right, and that would be pushing on when you're...
And whenever you start pulling back, what does he do? He pushes harder and goes harder. That's what he's doing. We went to Oklahoma last year and done a big clinic for that Oklahoma Equestrian Trail Riders Association. And then we went on trail ride with him, and Joy was on the horse, and he was absolutely giving her hell. We wound up swapping horses on that ride, didn't we?
Yeah.
I got on him. Everybody was back to camp. Horses put up, sitting around before I'd come dragging my ass in. If I'd done one rein stop, I'd done 1,000. Because he simply would not listen. But what did I do? I spent the time, stayed on the deal. And when I come back to camp, what was he doing? That damn head was down, and my God, he was walking in there. He had had all he wanted.
And he did very well the next day.
He did very well the next day. Guys, okay, here's where I was going. You hear me talk about these guys that really don't do no groundwork. They wool them old colts around. They get on them, and they might ride them 12, 18 miles in a day, first time out. Those colts don't know nothing. They have no foundation on them. They're so damn tired, a monkey can get on them and ride them. Now, with that said, I'm not going to say what they're doing is all wrong. What I'm going to say is you need to do all this groundwork that we do, and then you need to ride the far out of it. Okay? It's a two-pronged deal. And me and Sissy got into this yesterday on a colt in here on the first ride. She got on it. We had it saddled up, and she got on it, and I said, now, just flex. When she would flex, she could get its head around, and it would stay. And when she'd try to pull it the other way, she'd have to take her other hand and push its head around because it would just sit there and stay and just stay. And we did that for a little bit, and I said, all right, just let her set. She let her set. We stood there and talked for a little bit. I said, now, whenever you pull, don't do a solid pull. Bump, 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 bump. Don't let him lay on you. Just do this. Bump, bump, bump. I bet you we stood out here for 15 minutes before we ever asked that mare to go anywhere because she wasn't giving that head back and forth. She would flex, but then you couldn't get it back around.
And her feet were still.
And her feet were still. But everything was so stiff in that neck and that mouth. And I told Sissy, I said, look, I know you're getting sick of this, but why would you go ahead and try to ride her like that? What do I always say? We get the stiffness, the resistance, and the abrasiveness out of these horses before we start riding them. What else do I say? When you get on their back, you're going to have some foundation work you're going to have to do on their back. Because on the ground, she'd sit there and flex and just perfect. But when you got on her back, man, it was a whole different deal. And I bet you we worked for 15, 20 minutes on that. And I said, that's so much better. Now, ask her to walk off. And we had a great first ride on that mare. Guys, these are things that you need to be looking for. These are things that you need to be looking for. So
to our new patrons, I would really recommend that you just scroll down to the bottom, back 325 videos ago, whatever it is. We do a lot of teaching. And in the later videos, we're doing more in breaking horses. So if you'll run backwards and go on down, you're going to find all kinds of videos on one-rein stops and on flexing and on groundwork and, you know.
And I've got something else to say about that, like she just said. Excuse me. We're filming a lot of starting colts. And I know a lot of people probably get bored with that. They're thinking, I'm not going to start a colt. And I'll tell you why we're doing that. As y'all know, we ride a lot of horses for people. Guys, every horse that walks in this barn, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old horses, every single one of them that walks in this barn, not one of them has a foundation on them. Not one of them can do the groundwork exercises that we do here to get a foundation on them. Whatever problems that you're having with your horse, it is because you do not have a foundation on your horse. A foundation. What's the foundation? I'm going to define it again like I have 1,000 times. It's getting the stiffness, resistance, the abrasiveness, and the rudeness out of your horse on the ground. Then once you get that all taken care of, then when you get on the back, you can start doing other things. And you're going to find more problems once you get on their back. But those problems aren't going to be near as bad as they was if you hadn't done that groundwork. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Guys, we are open to you. You have access to us. call us, talk to us, come here. We'll work with you. As y'all know, today's Tuesday. We're leaving a week from tomorrow for Little Lusk Horse Camp in Stoneford, Illinois, in the Shawnee National Forest. We are partnering up with the horse camp, and we're doing a 10-day clinic. 10-day trail ride. I'm doing 3 clinics. That thing has been sold out for months. We're very humbled by that, and we're looking very forward to it. Matter of fact, Joy was on the phone with Jamie just a while ago working out some details about the rides we're going to go on. So anyway, we'll be putting some stuff up from that trail riding things. But call us, talk to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. And thank